In this video, we're going to look at transportation and what that looks like for schools. So there's some different requirements that the state has set out, and just kind of listing them out here. So the first one here is the in-district, and the only really requirement it says that you can establish that. So if you want to have transportation, you can do it. But when it comes to the out-of-district requirements, it's actually kind of interesting that they're based on, some of them, the rating of the school, so being a C, or the accountability score being over a 70. And I really thought that was kind of interesting that part of the whether or not you can go outside of your district is based on your accountability scores. And then the next part is funding. The state gives money as an allotment per mile. So, of course, you're going to want to make sure that you're recording how much each of the buses is going to be driving each day, and then keeping track of those things. And that's really not a requirement, but more of a side note to having a bus system for your school. And that also kind of ties in with distance, right? You're not actually required to have anything within 2 miles of the school that they go to. And so I know at least my school doesn't allow kids to walk to elementaries or walk to the middle school. And so they would definitely have to be busing kids within that 2 mile radius. And so those are just things that you have to think about, but the allotment or the funding is specific to the distance away from the school. And so to and from school, you've got a few options here as far as the buses, right? You can have your system, or you could simply use the state system or the city system, local transit. So it's not required, and the students don't have to use the bus that you provide, but there are options for them. And then location. You notice it says to and from school, but it doesn't say to and from home. So location doesn't necessarily mean your house or their house. It may mean the grandparents' house, or it may mean a daycare. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to and from home. Now, the other two are kind of special cases, and the foster care students are a lot easier in many cases than the homeless students, because they have a home that is tied to them as an address. So even though they may move, they're still tied to an address. Now, the homeless students are required to have a plan by the district, but are a little more challenging because they could simply decide to just walk or go to a different area. So plan is required, but can be difficult to actually achieve. Now, school-related activities, in other words, stuff outside of the school regular, transportation day. So this could be field trips. This could be sporting events. You still have two options. It could be a week-long choir event in San Antonio, and so that's where you have to really decide which of these two makes more sense for you. Does it make more sense to hire a bus driver for the week and have that person driving them all around? Or if they're less than 15, having a van, or if it's less than that, having the choir teacher drive, or maybe not choir, but maybe like an art exhibit, having the art teacher drive 3 students in a school vehicle that holds 5 kids. Or would it be better to do something like a charter bus, which would be this non-school transportation option? And so looking at drivers, there's a lot of different things that goes into whether someone is eligible from age, and kind of have these listed out here. So got to be at least 18, and they need a Class B license, which I didn't even know was a license before this. And they have to have the ability, right? They have to have the mental and physical capability to pass these annual exams in order to be fit for driving. They also have to have their records for driving done annually. So every year they get checked to see if they've been in an accident or if they've got tickets or things along those lines. They have to have education, right? They have to be certified in Texas through the bus safety education, and they can do that through TEA. And then another type of record that we look for is criminal records. And so if they have no felonies or if they have specific type of misdemeanors which are related to harm. And then this other category is really for like field trips and stuff. You don't actually have to have any of those things checked if it's for a specific event or a field trip. So, for example, the art teacher, right? The art teacher is not going to have a Class B license. He's not going to gone through the same driving record check or the school bus safety training or the ability mental and physical annual exam. So those things don't apply to the drivers for these trips that are not actually driving a bus. And so you'll notice that I didn't have district standards for a lot of these slides, and that's because my district in the board policy doesn't contain anything outside of the legal policy. So there's no local policy for several of them.